The emergency message arrived at Earth when most people were sleeping. Captain Kim Day was fixing a broken coffee machine in his ship when the communication system started making loud noises. He dropped his tools and ran to the control room where bright red lights were flashing everywhere. The voice that came through the speakers sounded strange and scared. It spoke in broken human language, with words that did not fit together properly. The alien said his name was Ambassador Valkyris, from something called the Galactic Council. Kim Day had never heard of any Galactic Council, but the fear in the alien voice made him listen carefully. "We need help," the alien voice said. "Our worlds are dying. A great enemy destroys everything we have built. They eat our planets and turn them into metal monsters. We have fought for many years, but we cannot win. Please help us, or we will all die." Kim Day looked around his old cargo ship and almost laughed. The Morning Star was 40 years old and held together with spare parts and hoped. The walls had rust stains and the floor creaked when anyone walked on it. His crew was made up of people that nobody else wanted. How could they help anyone fight a space war? Engineer Park So Young came running into the control room. She was covered in oil and carrying a broken pipe. Her short black hair was messy and her work clothes were dirty. She had been trying to fix the water system for 3 days without success. "Captain, what is happening?" she asked. "The whole ship is shaking and all the alarms are going off." Kim Day pointed at the communication screen where the alien message was still playing. The strange creature on the screen looked like a tall blue person with 4 arms and silver eyes, but those eyes showed pure terror, like a child who had seen something horrible. "This alien says their people are in trouble," Kim Day explained. "Some enemy is destroying their worlds and they want our help." Park So Young stared at the screen and then looked around their broken ship. "Are they serious?" she asked. "We can barely keep this old thing flying. How are we supposed to fight in a space war before?" Kim Day could answer. Navigator Lee Tae-min stumbled into the room. He was a thin young man who always looked worried about something. His job was to guide their ship through space using star maps that were older than he was. The maps had coffee stains and torn edges because they could not afford new ones. Captain Lee Tae-min said, "I just checked our position. The message is coming from very far away. It would take us months to reach their space, even if we used all our fuel." To alien message kept playing over and over. The Ambassador of Valkyris creature explained that machines called were eating entire star systems. These machines could think and learn, and they got stronger every time someone fought them. The aliens had tried everything they could think of, but nothing worked. "We have the most powerful weapons in the galaxy," the alien said on the recording. "Our ships can destroy moons, and our soldiers are the best fighters who ever lived. But the Devourers learn from every battle. They take our weapons and make them useless. They take our strategies and turn them against. With us, we are losing badly, and soon we will all be dead." Kim Day sat down in his old captain chair and rubbed his tired face. He was 50 years old and had spent most of his life flying cargo ships between planets. His crew was good at fixing things and finding creative solutions to problems, but they were not soldiers. Gunner Choi Hannah walked into the control room carrying a sandwich and looking bored. She was the youngest member of the crew at 25 years old. Her job was to operate their weapons, but their weapons were so old that most space museums would not want them. The plasma cannon had been built when her grandmother was young, and it only worked half the time. "What is everyone looking so serious about?" Hannah asked. She took a bite of her sandwich and sat on a box of spare parts that someone had left in the corner. Kim Day explained about the alien message and the enemy that was destroying civilizations. Hannah listened while eating and nodded sometimes, like she was hearing about the weather. "So, these super advanced aliens with amazing technology cannot beat these machine things," she said, "and they want us to help them with our rusty old ship and broken weapons." "That is exactly right," Park So Young said. "It makes no sense at all." The communication system made another loud noise, and a new message started playing. This time it was from Earth Command, the official military headquarters for all human space forces. The voice belonged to Admiral Park, who is famous for never smiling and always being angry about something. "All salvage and cargo vessels in this sector will report for emergency duty immediately." The Admiral said, "We have received a request for military assistance from an alien coalition. Earth Command has decided to respond to this request with available forces." Kim Day knew what available forces meant. It meant the ships that nobody cared about losing. The real military fleets with their shiny new ships and trained soldiers would stay home. It was safe the old cargo ships and salvage vessels would go fight the aliens' war because nobody would miss them if they never came back. Have 24 hours to prepare for departure, the admiral continued. You will be given basic military supplies and standard armament. Your mission is to provide assistance to allied alien forces against an enemy known as the Devourers. Good luck. The message ended, and the control room became very quiet. Everyone looked at each other, and nobody knew what to say. They were being sent to fight in a war against machines that had defeated the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Li Te-min was the first to speak. Captain, our ship is not designed for combat. We carry mining equipment and repair tools, not weapons for fighting space. Battles. Park So-young nodded in agreement. Our engines are old and slow, she said. If we meet these Devourer machines, we will not be able to run away. Fast enough. Hannah finished her sandwich and stood up while she said, at least, it will not be boring anymore. I was getting tired of shooting at asteroids to test our weapons. Kim Day looked at his crew and felt proud of them. They were scared, but they were not running away. These people had been rejected by the real military because they were not good enough, but they had worked together for years, and they trusted each other. We have one day to get ready, he said. Park So-young, I want you to check every system on this ship and fix whatever you can. Li Te-min, study the star charts and find the fastest route to alien space. Hannah, clean our weapons and make sure they actually work when we need them. What about you, Captain? Hannah asked. What will you be doing? Kim Day smiled for the first time that day. I will be writing letters to our families, he said, just in case we do not come back from this adventure. The crew spent the next 24 hours working harder than they had ever worked before. Park So-young crawled through every pipe and wire in the ship, fixing things with spare parts and creativity. Li Te-min studied maps and calculated fuel consumption and travel time. Hannah took apart their weapons and put them back together properly when Earth Command delivered their military supplies. The crew was not impressed. They received ammunition that was marked surplus, meaning it was old and cheap. They got armor that was too big or too small, and food that tasted like cardboard. The weapons they received were basic models that regular soldiers would use for training. This is what they give us to fight super advanced space machines, Park So-young said while looking at their new equipment. It is like giving someone a stick to fight a dragon. Maybe the stick will work better than we think. Kim Day replied, sometimes the simple solution is the best solution. As the Morning Star prepared to leave Earth orbit, Kim Day stood in the control room and looked at his home planet through the window. He had been born there and never thought he would leave on a mission like this. The blue and green world looked peaceful and beautiful. From space, do you think we will see Earth again? Li Te-min asked. Quietly, Kim Day put his hand on the young man's shoulder. I do not know, he said honestly. But I know we have to try. These aliens are scared and desperate. If we do not help them, maybe these Devourer machines will come to Earth next. The ship engines started up with their usual coughing and shaking sounds. The Morning Star was not graceful or fast or powerful, but it was their home, and they would take it into battle against impossible odds. They flew away from Earth toward unknown dangers. None of them knew that their old, broken ship and simple weapons would soon change the course of galactic history. The journey to alien space took 3 weeks, and the Morning Star barely made it. The old engines kept overheating, and Park Hannah spent most of her time cleaning their weapons and wondering if they would actually fire when needed. When they finally arrived at the meeting point, Kim Day could not believe what he saw. Huge alien ships floated in space like dead whales. Some were bigger than entire cities on Earth, but they were broken and burned. The mighty vessels that once ruled the galaxy now looked like scrap metal waiting to be recycled. There are so many of them, Park So-young whispered as she stared out the window. Hundreds of alien ships filled the space around a massive space station, but none of them looked ready to fight. Most had holes in their sides or missing pieces. Some were held together with emergency patches that glowed red in the darkness. Li Te-min checked his instruments and shook his head. Captain, he said, I am reading life signs from the station, but most of these ships are empty. That appeared on their screen made everyone step backward. The alien looked like Ambassador Valkyris from the first message, but this creature was different. Its blue skin was pale, and its 4 arms shook constantly. The silver eyes that once showed intelligence now showed only terror. Welcome, human friends, the alien said in broken words. I am Ambassador Valkyris of the Galactic Council. Thank you for coming to help us. We did not think anyone would answer our call. Kim looked around his small bridge at his crew of misfits, then back at the alien. We are here to help, he said, though he was not sure how. What do you need us to do? The alien ambassador made a sound that might have been laughing or crying. Please come to our station. We will show you what we are fighting against. Maybe your people can see something we have missed. We have tried everything we know. The Morningstar docked with the alien station using old mechanical clamps that Park So-young had repaired with spare parts. The station was huge inside, with corridors that could fit 3 human ships. The walls were made of some kind of metal that changed colors when they walked past. Italian creatures filled the hallways. But they were not the proud warriors Kim had expected. These beings looked like refugees running from a disaster. Some had bandages covering terrible wounds. Others carried small bags that contained everything they owned. Many just sat on the floor, staring at nothing. Ambassador Valkaris led them through the station, explaining what had happened to his people. We once controlled 1,000 star systems, he said. Our technology was beyond anything you could imagine. We had weapons that could crack planets and shields that could stop stars from exploding. What happened to it all? Hannah asked, looking at the broken aliens around them. The Devourers learned from us, Valkaris replied. Every time we shot them, they studied our weapons. Every time we defended ourselves, they copied our shields. Now they use our own technology against us, but they do it better than we ever could. They reached a large room filled with computer screens and alien technology. Park So-young immediately started examining the equipment, while Lee Tae-min looked at star charts that showed the positions of Devourer forces. The charts were mostly red, indicating areas where the machines had complete control. This is our command center, Valkaris explained. From here we coordinate what is left of our forces, 12 human ships and perhaps 50 alien vessels that still function. This is all that remains of the greatest military alliance in galactic history. Kim studied the tactical displays showing enemy positions. There were thousands of red dots representing Devourer forces. How many of these machines are out there? He asked. Valkaris made that laughing, crying sound again. We stopped counting after they reached 1 million individual units. Each unit can think for itself, but they also work together perfectly. They learn faster than we can adapt, and they never get tired or scared. Suddenly alarms started ringing throughout the station. Alien technicians ran to their stations while others simply curled up in corners and waited to die. The main screen showed a single red dot approaching the station, but this dot was different from the others. It pulsed with energy and seemed to be scanning everything around it. Devourer Scout, the aliens whispered to each other. Everyone, abandon your posts, run to the evacuation ships. But the human crew stayed where they were. Kim watched the approaching machine with curiosity rather than terror. What does it look like? He asked. The screen zoomed in to show a metallic creature that looked like a giant spider crossed with a warship. Its body was covered in weapons that glowed with deadly energy. Even empty space has things it can consume. Park So-young was studying the scanner readings. Captain, she said, this thing is actively analyzing our technology. It is learning about our defenses just by looking at them. Hannah moved to the weapons control station, which the aliens had abandoned. Can these station weapons hurt it? She asked. Valkaris shook his head sadly. We have tried many times. Our most powerful weapons only make them stronger. They absorb the energy and use it to build more machines. Kim looked at his gunner, who was examining the alien weapon controls. Hannah, he said, can you fire our ship's weapons from here? She studied the displays for a moment. Yes, Captain, I can link our plasma cannon to the station controls, but our weapon is very old and weak compared to alien technology. Fire a warning shot. Kim ordered. Let us see what happens. Hannah hesitated, knowing that their ancient plasma cannon was like a toy compared to the weapons that had failed against the Devourers, but she followed orders and targeted the approaching scout machine. The old weapon charged up slowly, making grinding noises that echoed through the station. The plasma bolt fired, and everyone held their breath. The energy beam was small and dim compared to alien weapons. It looked like a candle flame next to a bonfire, but when it hit the Devourer scout, something incredible happened that showed actual damage to its hull. For the first time in this war, a Devourer had been hurt by a weapon. Attack impossible, Valkaris whispered, staring at the displays. Our quantum disruptor cannons could not scratch that armor. How did your primitive weapon damage it? The Devourer scout tried to resume its approach, but something was wrong with its systems. It moved in jerky motions like a broken toy. Then suddenly, it turned around and fled back into deep space, leaving the station area completely. The command center fell silent as everyone tried to understand what had just happened. Human and alien alike stared at the tactical displays, showing the retreating enemy. Every alien in the room had believed that Devourers were completely invulnerable. Yet a single shot from an obsolete human weapon had sent one running. Park So-young was the first to speak. "Captain," she said, "our plasma cannon uses completely different technology from alien weapons. Maybe that is why it worked." Valkyris moved closer. "To the human engineer different?" How he asked. "What makes your weapons special?" Hannah answered, while checking their weapon status. "Our plasma cannon is 40 years old," she said. "It uses chemical reactions and magnetic fields to create energy. Most of the parts were made by hand in factories on Earth." The alien ambassador looked confused. "We do not understand," he said. "Your technology is thousands of years behind ours. How can it be more effective?" Kim Dae smiled as he began to realize what had happened. "Maybe being behind is exactly what we need," he said. "Your enemy has learned to fight your advanced weapons, but it has never seen anything like our old simple technology." More alarms started ringing as additional Devourer scouts appeared on the long-range sensors. The machines were approaching the station in larger numbers, drawn by the unusual weapon signature. They had detected Lee Tae-min counted the incoming contacts. "Captain, there are at least 20 of them heading this way. They will be here in 1 hour." Kim Dae turned to Ambassador Valkyris. "We need to call our other ships," he said. "If our weapons can actually hurt these things, then we have a chance, but we need to work together." For the first time since they had arrived, the alien showed something other than despair in his silver eyes. Hope flickered there, like a small flame in the darkness. "Yes," the ambassador said, "let us see if your weak fleet can do what our strongest forces could not." Park So-young spent the next 3 days studying pieces of destroyed Devourer machines that the aliens had collected over months of fighting. She worked in a small laboratory on the station, surrounded by alien technology she barely understood. The metal fragments looked ordinary, but her scanners showed they contained materials that should not exist. The alien scientists tried to help, but they used words that had no meaning in human language. They talked about quantum matrices and dimensional phase shifts, while Park So-young looked for simple answers. She preferred to touch things and take them apart to see how they worked. Captain Kim Dae found her on the 3rd day, sitting on the floor surrounded by metal pieces and broken alien tools. She had oil stains on her clothes, and her hair was messier than usual. Her hands were cut from handling sharp metal, but she looked excited about something, I think. "I understand why our weapons work," she said, without looking up from her work. "These machines are designed to learn from energy weapons. Every time someone shoots them with a plasma cannon or laser beam, they get stronger." "How is that possible?" Kim Dae asked, sitting down beside her on the cold floor. Park So-young picked up a piece of Devourer armor and showed him the inside surface. "Look at this," she said. "The metal has tiny machines inside it. When energy hits the armor, these tiny machines study the energy and learn how to stop it the next time someone uses the same weapon. It does no damage at all, but our weapons are different," Kim Dae said, starting to understand exactly. She replied, "Our plasma cannon uses old technology that creates energy through chemical reactions. The Devourer armor has never seen anything like it, so the tiny machines do not know how to adapt. They are programmed to handle advanced alien technology, not primitive human weapons." Navigator Lee Tae-min joined them in the laboratory, carrying a cup of coffee that smelled terrible. The alien food dispensers made drinks that tasted like metal mixed with dirt, but it was the only coffee available on the station. "Have been studying their tracking systems," Lee Tae-min said. "The Devourers find targets by detecting quantum signatures from advanced alien engines. Our old chemical rockets do not produce quantum signatures, so we are almost invisible to their sensors. This means we can sneak up on them," Hannah said as she entered the laboratory. She had been practicing with alien weapons but kept returning to her old human firearms. The alien energy weapons were powerful, but they felt wrong in her hands. Kim Dae stood up and brushed dust off his clothes. "We need to test this theory," he said. "If we are right, then we have advantages the aliens never knew about." Ambassador Valkyris was harder to convince than the humans expected. The alien leader listened to their explanation, but his silver eyes showed doubt rather than hope. "Your theory sounds reasonable," he said, "but we have fought these Machines for years, how can simple human weapons succeed where our greatest technology failed? Because your technology is exactly what they were designed to fight, Park So-young explained. The Devourers were built to absorb and counter advanced energy weapons. They expect quantum shields and antimatter cannons, not chemical explosives and metal bullets. The ambassador made his laughing, crying sound again. You are asking us to abandon millions of years of technological development and fight with primitive weapons. Not abandon, Kim Dae said. Carefully combine. Your shields and sensors are much better than ours, but our weapons and engines give us abilities you do not have. Lee Tae-min spread out star charts on the laboratory table, showing Devourer positions. Look at this, he said. The machines control most of the galaxy now, but they guard the areas with the strongest quantum signatures. They expect attacks from ships like yours, Captain. Our ships could move through their territory without being detected. The first test came when 20 Devourer scouts attacked the station. The alien ships tried to fight using their traditional tactics, but their energy weapons only made the machines stronger. Human ships used different approaches, flying close to the enemy and firing simple projectile weapons that punched through advanced armor. Hana coordinated the battle from the station, using both human and alien weapon systems. She discovered that combining technologies worked better than using either alone. Alien targeting computers guided human missiles, while human stealth systems hid alien ships from Devourer sensors. The battle lasted 6 hours and ended with all 20 Devourer scouts destroyed. The alien crews could hardly believe what they had seen. Enemy machines that had seemed invincible fell to weapons they considered obsolete. The victory was small, but it proved that the human theories were correct. Word of the success spread quickly through the remaining alien fleets. Ships that had been hiding in distant systems began returning to the fight. Alien engineers started studying human technology, while human mechanics learned to work with alien materials. Park So-young found herself teaching advanced alien scientists how to build simple chemical weapons. The aliens struggled with concepts that human children learned in school. They had forgotten how to make things without using quantum computers and energy. Manipulators or people think in straight lines. One alien engineer told her, you see a problem and find the most direct solution. We see a problem and try to solve it with the most advanced method possible. Maybe that is why you could not beat the Devourers, Park So-young replied. They were designed to handle advanced solutions, not simple ones. Training sessions became a daily routine on the station. Alien crews learned to use human weapons, while human crews learned to operate alien defensive systems. The combination created something neither species could achieve alone. Alien shields powered by human reactors lasted longer than either technology could manage separately. Lee Tae-min worked with alien navigators to plan new attack routes using human stealth capabilities. The aliens had detailed maps of Devourer positions, but they had never considered approaching through areas the machines ignored. Human ships could travel through those blind spots and strike at targets the aliens could never reach. The first major offensive targeted a Devourer supply convoy moving through what the machines considered safe space. The convoy consisted of 12 transport units carrying materials to build new machine armies. The aliens had watched these convoys for months without being able to attack them. Human ships approached, using old chemical engines that produced no quantum signatures. The Devourer's sensors completely missed them until human weapons started firing. The attack lasted 15 minutes and destroyed the entire convoy. Without losing a single human ship, more alien fleets joined the alliance after hearing about the convoy attack. Species that had been fighting alone for years came together under human leadership. The irony was not lost on anyone. The most primitive military force in the galaxy was teaching advanced civilizations how to fight. Kim Dae found himself commanding a fleet of over 200 ships from dozens of different species. Each ship combined human and alien technology in unique ways. Used human weapons with alien power systems, others used alien sensors with human stealth technology. But the Devourers were learning to intelligence reports showed that some machine units were beginning to use projectile weapons copied from human designs. Other machines developed new scanning methods that could detect chemical engine signatures. The war was becoming a race between human creativity and machine adaptation. We cannot keep using the same tactics forever. Kim Dae told his expanded command staff, the machines will eventually figure out how to counter our advantages. We need to strike at their source before they adapt completely alien. Intelligence had located what appeared to be a central control facility deep in Devourer territory. The facility coordinated all machine activities across the galaxy. If they could destroy it, the entire Devourer network might shut down, but reaching the target meant traveling through the heaviest machine defenses in known space. The facility was protected by millions of Devourer units, including types that had never been seen before. It would be the most dangerous mission ever attemptedly. Tae-min studied the route 4 days before, presenting his findings. "Captain," he said, "I can get us there. But most of our ships will not survive the journey. The machines have had years to fortify this area. How many ships do you think will make it through?" Kim Dae asked. Lee Tae-min looked at his calculations, and then at his captain. "Maybe 10%. He said quietly, "Maybe less." Kim Dae looked around the command center at the humans and aliens working together. The alliance they had built was strong, but it might not be enough for what came next. "Then we better make sure those 10% count," he said, "because this might be our only chance to end this war." The first major attack targeted a Devourer factory ship that was converting an entire moon into new machine warriors. Thousands of partially built Devourers moved through assembly lines, while the main facility consumed rock and metal to create more materials. Kim Dae commanded the attack from the Morning Star, which now carried both human and alien technology. Park So-young had installed alien shield generators powered by their old chemical reactor. The combination gave them protection that neither technology could provide alone. "We have 50 ships for this mission," Kim Dae announced over the communication system, 25 human vessels and 25 alien ships. The aliens will attack directly to draw the factory's attention, while human ships use stealth to get close. Ambassador Velcaris commanded the alien attack force from his flagship, a massive vessel that had survived dozens of battles. His crew was nervous but determined. They had learned to trust human tactics, even when those tactics seemed impossible. The alien ships approached the factory openly, using their most powerful weapons to announce their presence. The Devourer defenses responded. Immediately, hundreds of Guardian machines rose from the factory surface to meet the attack. Energy beams and missile swarms filled the space around the moon. While the aliens fought the obvious battle, Tae-min had carefully planned the Devourer sensors, focused on the large alien energy signatures, and missed the smaller human chemical drives completely. Hannah had modified their weapons using alien technology to increase their power. Human kinetic rounds now carried alien explosive cores that could penetrate the strongest machine armor. Nuclear warheads used alien guidance systems that made them impossible to intercept. The human ships reached the factory surface and began their attack. Projectile weapons punched through the factory's defensive barriers, while chemical explosives detonated inside critical manufacturing areas. The Devourers had no defense against these primitive but effective weapons. Park So-young watched her instruments as the factory systems began failing one by one. The assembly lines stopped working. Power systems overloaded and exploded. Manufacturing centers collapsed as their supports were destroyed. Per Day died in spectacular fashion. The explosion could be seen from light years away as the entire moon cracked apart, taking the factory and thousands of new Devourers. With it, it was the first major victory against the machines, and news of the success spread throughout the galaxy. More alien fleets joined the alliance after the factory attack. Species that had been hiding in distant star systems that grew larger every day. Tae-min worked around the clock coordinating the expanding fleet. Human tactics spread to every allied ship as alien crews learned to think like humans. They used deception and surprise instead of direct confrontation. Speed and cunning replaced brute force. The war began to change as more Devourer facilities fell to combined human-alien attacks. Supply lines were cut, manufacturing centers were destroyed, communication networks were disrupted for the first time. In years, the machines were losing ground instead of gaining it, but the Devourers were not helpless. They began adapting their strategies to counter human tactics. New sensors that could detect chemical engine signatures. The learning process worked both ways. As human engineers studied, captured, rewrite itself, the more they learned about human tactics, the better they became at countering them. "We are in a race against time," Kim Dae told his command staff during a strategy meeting. "The machines are adapting faster than we expected. Soon they we'll be able to counter all our advantages. Intelligence reports showed that some Devourer units were already using hybrid technologies that combined machine efficiency with human-style weapons. These new variants were much more dangerous than the original models. The Alliance needed a decisive victory before the machines could complete their adaptation process. Kim Dae studied star charts, looking for a target that would cripple the rescued alien scientist named Cole Ven had been studying the Devourers for decades before his homeworld was destroyed. He approached Kim Dae with information that could change everything. Captain Cole Ven said, "There is something you must know about the machine network. All Devourer units are connected to a central control system. If we could destroy that control center, the entire network would collapse." "Where is this control center?" Kim Dae asked. "Deep in the galactic core," Cole Ven replied, "in a system that has been completely consumed by machines. The control facility is protected by millions of Devourer units, including types that have never been seen before." Lee Tae-min studied the location data and shook his head. "Captain, getting there would require passing through the heaviest machine defenses in the galaxy. Our stealth technology will not work against that level of travel time and expected losses. Maybe 50 ships could reach the target," he said, "but most of them would be destroyed in the attempt." The command staff fell silent as they considered the implications. 50 ships against millions of Devourers seemed like suicide, but it might be their only chance to end the war before the machines adapted completely. Hannah spoke first from her position at the weapons console. "No retreat." Park So-young nodded in agreement. "I can modify our weapons one more time," she said. "Been listening quietly from his station." "Captain," he said, "the Galactic Council will support this mission. We have already lost most of our worlds. If this fails, we have nothing left to lose anyway." Kim Dae looked around the room at the humans and aliens who had become his family over the past months. They had started as outcasts and misfits, but had become the most effective military force in the one gets ordered to what might be a suicide mission. Every person in the room raised their hand immediately. Humans and aliens alike were ready to risk everything for a chance to end the war. The alliance that had begun with desperation had become something much stronger. The preparation took 2 weeks, as ships were modified and crews were trained for the most dangerous mission in galactic history. Human and alien engineers worked together to create weapons that combined the best of both. Technologist Park So-young installed quantum explosives in human kinetic rounds, creating projectiles that could penetrate any armor. Lee of species to use hybrid weapon systems. The fleet that finally departed for the galactic core consisted of 50. Kim Dae, commanding from the bridge of a ship that had been scheduled for the scrapyard, as they entered the dangerous journey toward the impossible. They had united the galaxy against a common enemy and given hope to civilizations that had given up. The real test was still ahead, but they faced it together as allies and friends. Destruction. The journey to the galactic core took 4 weeks through the most dangerous space in the known galaxy. Every day brought new challenges as Devourer patrols grew thicker and more aggressive. The machines had turned entire star systems into fortified checkpoints guarded by units that the Alliance had never seen before. Captain Kim Dae watched from the morning Star Bridge as they passed through a system where 3 planets had been completely stripped of all matter. The worlds were gone. Only empty space where millions of beings had once lived. The sight reminded everyone what would happen if their mission failed. Park So-young worked constantly to keep their hybrid systems functioning. The combination of human and alien technology required constant adjustment and repair. Every few hours, something would break down and need fixing. She had not slept properly in days, but refused to rest while the ship needed her. "We are pushing these systems beyond their limits," she told Kim Dae. "While replacing burned-out components, the alien shields are using too much power from our human reactor, and our weapons are overheating from the quantum modification scan. You keep us running until we reach the target." Kim Dae asked. Park So-young wiped sweat from her forehead and nodded. "I will keep us running, Captain, even if I have to rebuild every system with my bare hands." Navigator Lee Tae-min had the hardest job of all, plotting courses through Devourer territory while avoiding the heaviest defenses. His star charts now showed more red areas than safe ones. The machines controlled most of the galaxy, and their patrols covered every major travel route. The fleet lost its first ship on day 12 when a Devourer patrol detected their approach. The alien vessel, Bright Hope, fought bravely but was overwhelmed by machine forces that adapted to their weapons within minutes. The crew managed to send a final message warning the other ships about new Devourer tactics. By day 20, they had lost 8 more ships to various encounters. Each loss hurt the morale of the remaining crews, but also provided valuable intelligence about machine capabilities. The Devourers were definitely learning, but they had not yet figured out how to counter. All Human Techniques Ambassador, Valkyris, coordinated communications between the different species in the fleet. Humans worked alongside creatures that looked like giant insects, metal robots, and energy beings that had no physical form at all. Diversity was amazing, but it also created constant challenges. Gunner Hana trained crews from all the different species to use the hybrid weapon systems some aliens had too. Many arms, while others had no arms at all. Some could see colors that humans could not detect, while others were completely blind and used sound to navigate. Most disturbing discovery came when they reached the inner systems around the galactic core. Here they found evidence of what the Devourers did with conquered populations. Massive facilities contained the digitized remains of billions of beings. Their minds trapped in machine storage systems. These are not just conquerors, Li Tae-min said quietly as they studied the readings. They are collectors. They preserve the knowledge and memories of everyone they destroyed. Kim Dae felt sick as he realized the implications. Every alien civilization that had fallen to the machines was still alive in a horrible way. Their thoughts and experiences had become part of the Devourer network, giving the machines access to millions of years of accumulated knowledge that explains how they adapt so quickly. Park So-young said, "They have the memories of every military strategist, every engineer, every scientist from thousands of civilizations. When we use a new tactic, they can access the memories of everyone who ever fought similar battles." The final approach to the control facility took them through a graveyard of alien fleets. Ships from dozens of species floated dead in space, showing the remains of previous attempts to reach the target. Some vessels were so advanced that human technology could barely detect them, but they had all failed. Only 37 ships remained when they finally saw their target, the Devourer control facility was built inside a massive structure that had once been a star. The machines had somehow converted the entire solar mass into a computing system that pulsed with unimaginable energy. Scans showed that the facility was protected by more Devourer units than the rest of the galaxy combined. Millions of machine guardians orbited the structure in perfect formations, while weapons platforms covered every possible approach. "Root, this is it," Kim Dae announced to the fleet. "This is what we came here to destroy. I will not lie to you, most of us will not survive the next few hours. But if we succeed, we will save every living being in the galaxy." The attack plan was simple, because complex strategies would not work against such overwhelming odds. The alien ships would attack the outer defenses, drawing as many guardians as possible away from the control facility. Human ships would use their stealth capabilities to reach the core and plant quantum explosives. Hannah led the assault team that would actually enter the facility. Her group consisted of volunteers from every species in the Alliance. They carried human weapons modified with alien technology and war armor that combined the best features of both civilizations. The battle began with the alien ships charging directly at the Devourer defenses. Their weapons lit up space as they engaged millions of machine guardians. The aliens fought with desperate courage, knowing that they were buying time for the humans to complete their mission. Park So-young monitored the ship's systems as they approached the control facility, using every stealth technique they had learned. The massive structure grew larger and larger until it filled their entire view. It was like approaching a mechanical planet covered in weapons and sensors. Li Tae-min guided them through the defensive perimeter using routes that he had calculated and recalculated dozens of times. The Devourer sensors swept back and forth, searching for intruders, but the human ships remained invisible to most of their detection methods. They reached the facility surface, and Hannah led her team inside, through maintenance ports that the machines had never expected anyone to reach. The interior was a maze of corridors and chambers filled with computing equipment that processed the thoughts and memories of conquered civilizations. The assault team fought their way through automated defenses and mechanical guardians, using weapons that the facility security had never encountered. Human projectiles and chemical explosives proved effective even in the heart of machine territory, but Time was running out. The alien ships were taking heavy casualties and would not be able to maintain their distraction much longer. The team had only minutes to reach the control core and plant their explosives before the mission failed. Hannah reached the central chamber with only 6 team members remaining, the massive computer system that controlled all Devourer forces. Across the galaxy rose before them like a metal mountain pulsing with the stolen thoughts of billions of beings. Working quickly, they placed quantum explosives at critical points. Throughout the chamber, the weapons would destroy the computing core and hopefully shut down the entire Devourer network. But as they prepared to detonate the charges, Hannah made a discovery that changed everything. Captain, she called over the communication system. This is not just a control system. It contains the digitized minds of the machine's original creators. Hannah stared at the readings on her scanner. As the truth became clear, the control facility did not just coordinate Devourer forces, it contained the preserved minds of the ancient race that had originally built the machines the creators had uploaded themselves into their greatest creation before their civilization died. Captain, she called over the radio. Wanted to make sure nothing could ever threaten their people. Agenkumde listened from the Morningstar Bridge while watching the battle rage around them. Can you still destroy the facility? He asked Hannah. Studied the control systems more carefully. Yes, she replied, but I think there might be a better way. Too primitive. What are you thinking? Park So-young asked from the engine room instead. Of destroying the control system, Hannah said. I am going to reprogram it using something the machines will never expect. It was older than most of the crew. It used basic electronic circuits and simple programming languages that were thousands of years behind. Alien technology, the computer virus that Hannah created, was so simple that it looked like a child had written it. The code used basic commands that any human student would recognize. It did not try to fight the advanced alien security systems. Instead, it pretended to be harmless maintenance software. The virus spread through the Devourer network like water. Flowing downhill, the alien security programs ignored it completely because it was too primitive to be considered a threat. Within minutes, the simple code had infected every system in the control facility. Lee Tae-min watched his instruments as something extraordinary happened across the galaxy. Devourer forces were receiving new orders through the infected network. The virus was not destroying the machines. Instead, it was convincing them that their Devourer unit, that all threats to their creators had been eliminated. The galaxy was now safe, and the machines could enter dormant mode until they were needed again. One by one, Devourer fleets across the galaxy simply stopped moving. Factory ships ceased production and went silent. Guardian units returned to storage positions and shut down. Construction projects halted in the middle of assembly. The mechanical plague that had consumed civilizations for years went quiet as millions of machines entered sleep mode. The battle around the control facility ended as the Guardian units received shutdown orders. The massive weapons platforms that had seemed unstoppable moments before became inactive. Heavily defended facility in the galaxy was suddenly unprotected. Kimde could hardly believe what he was seeing on the tactical displays. Red dots representing active Devourer forces were turning gray one after another as machines throughout the galaxy went dormant. The war was ending, not with explosions, but with silence. Hannah and her team evacuated the control facility as its systems continued shutting down. The ancient minds of the machine creators were still preserved in the core computers, but they were no longer driving the Devourer network. The simple human virus had broken the connection. The surviving ships of the Alliance gathered around the inactive control facility. Nobody spoke for several minutes as they tried to process what had happened. The most advanced military machines in galactic history had been defeated by a computer virus that a human child could have written. Ambassador Vel Karis was the first to break the silence. Captain Kim Dae, he said, his voice filled with wonder, your people have achieved something that our greatest civilizations could not. How did you know that primitive technology would succeed where advanced weapons failed? We did not know, Kim Dae replied. Honestly, we just tried something different. When you have been fighting the same way for years, sometimes you need to think like someone who has never fought before. Reports came in from across the galaxy as the scope of the victory became clear. Devourer forces everywhere had gone dormant, leaving behind empty factory ships and inactive Guardian units. Planets that had been under machine control for decades were suddenly free. The cleanup took months as Allied forces secured abandoned Devourer facilities and helped liberate conquered populations, the machines had preserved billions of beings in digital form, and slowly these minds were being returned to new bodies. Created with recovered technology, Park So-young led the effort to understand and maintain the hybrid technologies that had made victory possible. Human and alien engineers worked together to create new ship designs that combined the best features of both civilizations, establish new trade routes between human and alien worlds. The galaxy that had been divided by war was coming together as different species learned to cooperate. Trade lanes and blue, peaceful territories. Hannah trained new crews in the tactics that had saved the galaxy. The weapons that had once been considered obsolete became standard equipment for peacekeeping force. Science Captain Kim Day found himself addressing the reformed, who had been rejected by his own military, now spoke for his entire species in matters of galactic worlds. He preferred the simple life of a merchant captain to the complicated politics of galactic leadership. Years later, when alien children learned about the Devourer War in school, they asked their teachers how primitive human weapons could succeed. Where advanced alien technology had failed, the answer was always the same. Sometimes the best solution is not the most complex one. Sometimes being different is more important than being better. The alliance between humans and aliens grew stronger. With each passing year, human creativity combined with alien knowledge created technologies and art forms that neither species could have achieved alone. The galaxy became a place where different ways of thinking were valued rather than feared. Park So-young established the first joint human-alien research facility, where scientists from dozens of species worked together to solve problems using both advanced and simple approaches. Her motto became famous throughout the galaxy sometimes. The old ways work better than the new ways. Navega Lee Tae-min created the Galactic Navigation Service that helped ships from all species travel safely between worlds. His star charts included both human chemical drive routes and alien quantum jump paths, giving captains more options for reaching their destinations. Gunner Hannah founded the Galaxy Defense Force that protected trade routes in peaceful worlds using tactics that combined human ingenuity with alien technology. Her forces were small but effective because they understood that strength came from thinking differently rather than having. Of ancient civilizations, the knowledge contained in those digital archives helped advance understanding of galactic history and the development of different species in the galaxy, not because humans were the strongest or most advanced, but because they had shown that different perspectives could solve problems that seemed impossible. The weakest fleet had indeed become the most important. The lesson of the Devourer. War spread throughout the galaxy and beyond. Whenever civilizations faced challenges that their advanced technology could not solve, they remembered the human approach. Sometimes the answer was not to build something bigger or more complex, but to try something completely different. In the end, the war was won, not by the most powerful weapons or the most advanced strategies, but by the willingness to think like someone who had never fought such a battle before. The humans had succeeded because they did not know enough to believe that success was impossible.